Good evening. So you'll notice that we're down some folks. Just health issues, just all over the place. So it'll be an interesting episode. I know I was talking a little bit about this with some folks before. If it feels like I'm dragging some things out, I might be. So let's go around the table, introduce yourselves, and we'll get into things. Also, not just introduce who you are, but introduce your character as well.
I guess I'll go first.
That
then.
would be you, James. You're
Yeah, you're in the order, James.
Okay, I always do counterclockwise, so I was waiting for it to go the other way. Sorry about that. I'm James. I'm playing Duolingo. I don't know how we're describing where we are in relationship to where we were, but Jedi prior to the Order 66 and been in hiding ever since.
Hello, I am Richard. I am playing Owen Draz, a entrepreneur, as well as a former Imperial ISB lackey.
He worked in like a low level functionary.
I wouldn't call it work.
Well, you never work a day as long as you love what you do. What's up? I'm Shannon. I use they, them pronouns. I am playing the matron who uses she, her pronouns. The matron is a perfectly legitimate businesswoman who's never done anything wrong, ever. She's just a nice lady. Just a real nice lady.
And if you believe that, we've got some land to sell you.
Got some beachfront property on Hoth for you.
All right, and I am Nate. I am playing Celestin Jedi Guardian Breeb Wumbu. Was just making his way, trying to figure out what to do after, there's not really a Jedi Order.
There is not any longer. So, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong. Sheesh. This will be
Longers!
Correct me if I'm wrong. Or as we found out last week, Justin Long, Thunder Liger. Those were words uttered by my wife. She's like, on top of the entertainment center, Justin Long, Thunder Liger. And I was like, what did you say?
My
Justin Thunder Liger? And I was like, did you say Justin Long, Thunder Liger? And she was like, maybe.
My head hurts and is so humored all at the same time.
It's kind of amazing. That woman. She's. Anyway, if I remember correctly, we ended with everyone on the planet that houses the Dawn Temple, which I don't believe I told you the name of the planet, and I'm not going to currently.
Oh.
But it is on an active planet. I had to do a little research myself, my own self. Shaggy, Super Spike. So it's a very beautiful world, and you kind of land on a landing, like a very rough hewn landing pad. It looks like, hey, stomach, be awesome. It looks like nature has started to kind of reclaim some of the areas here. And there was already a ship there when you landed. And as you exit, did you ever decide what the name of the matron ship is? I'm sure you probably did.
Yes, it is the Carabast.
The Carabast. Okay, can you make it a word that is going to be harder for me to remember?
Just watch Rebels a bunch and you'll never forget it again.
Yeah. Watch the product, Ben.
I do. It's just I don't. Hey,
Damn.
Brain injuries, you assholes. They're a real thing.
That's true.
Yeah, it's a dynamic class freighter, correct?
Correct.
Because I have it down as the Patience.
That might have been what it was in the past,
Okay,
which is
so
fine. We can go with that. We can go with the Patience. That's fine. Keep it easy.
Okay, are you sure?
We
Yeah.
modulate our broadcast signals so that the Imperials can't trace us. Okay, it's something different
Yeah.
every time.
Exactly.
That way, you don't have to remember it. You can just make something up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really good at that most of the time. Anyway, so you land and there is a small, like a not it'd be like a Delta class shuttle. That looks like it's seen a lot of wear and tear. That is pretty beat up. Doesn't look like it's on his last legs, but definitely look like it's seen much better days. And it's not the like fancy new Delta class. This is like the T2, T1 version, the very early version of it. And standing on the pathway to the large temple is a Miraluka dressed in Jedi robes, and he welcomes you and he lets you know, oh, my name is Jerek, Jedi Master Jerek. Apparently I wasn't the only one who felt the pull to arrive here.
Well, we definitely weren't expecting to find anybody. I mean, technically.
I was expecting to find people, just not a ship full of them pulling up behind me. And such an interesting group it is. I am slightly surprised. I see at least two of you wearing the vestments of Jedi, but the rest of you appear to be
Business people. That's all.
I see. In all of my studies to find this place, I thought it was relatively off limits to business people, is it?
Oh, you know, we're just out here trying to help. We're just out here making sure everything's good and copacetic, and you know, our friends, you know,
He
we're here
smiles.
supporting them.
He smiles wryly and then takes a deep bow and he says, well, if you're friends of members of the Jedi, then you're friends of mine. He kind of looks, especially at Duo and Breeb, since you're both dressed in vestments, as if he's waiting for you to introduce yourselves.
I'm Breeb Wumbu. After the issues of late, we thought it was best to get help where we could.
He kind of looks at you, slightly puzzled.
We're just humble travelers making our way through the galaxy.
Well, I generally think of us as more than humble travelers, but that's certainly a viewpoint on it. You mentioned troubles. Is that why I could not contact the Jedi Temple on Coruscant?
I'm gonna go back to the ship for a second.
I'm gonna stay and watch this.
We've never met. And he kind of looks over at Nol Yeenech and he says, I distinctly feel that you're hiding something from me. And Nol says, I was a former member of the Jedi Order. Not hiding anything, just no longer a member. And he kind of looks at you and he says, I have been in the unknown regions for over 12 years. So I am not sure what's going on. I returned into the Outer Rim expecting contact, but could not raise any of my previous contacts, nor could I reach the temple on Coruscant. In my travels, I had found coordinates for this destination. So I made my way here. As you can see, and he pats his ship on the side. My transportation has seen better days.
Would we know anything about him from our time in the Order, or
Sure. What do you know about Jedi Master Jerek from your time in the Order?
I particularly, like if he's out in the outer or unknown regions, I'm just thinking about like who he apprenticed under, like and whether
Jocasta
that's okay. So yeah, we would be familiar with her.
Yeah. He apprenticed underneath her. What you would probably know is he not quite contentious with the council, but definitely not great terms. But a lot of that could be because he is considered a Jedi master who has an incredible thirst for knowledge.
Okay. I think that there's no harm in conveying the fact that if we knew,
it's more like you know of him, you don't know him.
Yeah. But if we knew his master, that's an in. Not that anybody doesn't know who Jocasta Nu is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, obviously, if he's in the unknown regions, he's following her greater impulses towards like history and archaeology and those kind of things rather than archiving.
And that's what I knew nothing of this temple, but upon my travels in the unknown regions, I was able to find evidence that it had existed. Very little information on what it is. So I followed my inclination and made my way here, hoping to find a bustling temple. But as you can see, which is, he kind of, every time he says see or anything like that, he kind of makes an ironic smile since he's Mariluka. As you can see, there's no one here. You mentioned troubles before. Night Wumbu, is it?
I'm a guardian, yes.
Or guardian? I just didn't know if I was addressing another master.
Yeah, about, what was it, 10 years back, duo, we had some issues.
Please, do not spare me the gory details. I'm not so soft-hearted that you need to watch for my feelings.
Well,
When
go ahead.
He smiles as you two kind of go back and forth.
When were you sent to the unknown regions?
I was not sent. I volunteered to go. He basically, the time period he's giving you, because I'm not going to look up the year, is 5 years prior to the battle at Naboo. So he missed the entirety of the Clone Wars.
Okay.
Everything, he actually missed all the little things leading up to the Clone Wars.
Gentle Jedi friends, if I may, since you're trying to, tiptoe your way around this. Do you remember Senator Palpatine?
Yes, Chief Palpatine, I'm aware of.
Yes, well, he became Chancellor Palpatine.
Interesting.
And then he became Emperor Palpatine.
So the Republic has changed its governmental type. Has that had any drastic effect on its relationship with the Council or the Order in general?
How do I put this?
Plainly, please, sir.
You're an endangered species.
He kind of stands up straighter. He looks he appears contemplative. Mariluka or Jedi?
Jedi.
Was there a war or a purge? I mean, these things have happened in history. I'm just curious what has happened now.
So Palpatine Now, I'm not familiar with all your terms, but I believe the term was Sith.
You would know that. At no point does Sheev Palpatine let people know that he's a Dark Lord of the Sith.
He does after the Purge,
He does not.
when Darth Vader.
No, because not everybody knows that Vader is no one barely. There's like 3 people that know Vader or Anakin is even Vader.
No, that's true. But Vader is actually claimed as a Sith by Imperial officers.
Later on, towards the Battle of Yavin, we're not to that point in history yet. Sheev Palpatine is.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he is not. Yeah, he is not outed himself as a Dark Lord.
Well, then
Sith.
he
Not until he eradicates the Senate, because at that point he did not have the power to get rid of the Senate yet. Because if he outed himself as like, hey, by the way, guys, remember these people you thought were dead? I'm the big bad guy. Yeah, and they would have been able to rally against.
So let me put it. Let me retract then. So yeah,
it's going places.
There was a war.
Spike. Go for Papa Palpatine.
There was definitely a war involving clones that the Senate raised up to fight off separatists. But
why did the Jedi Order become involved in a Republic dispute? We are not soldiers. That's not the mandate of the Order.
You can ask your Jedi friends that one. I have no idea.
You can hear Matron in the like from the doorway where she's rustling around for stuff, just going.
At that point, you hear someone clear their throat. You turn around, and there are 3 individuals standing on the walkway that were not there even moments ago. It's almost like they just appeared out of nothingness.
Can we read a sitch?
Yes, please do. Please do.
8.
6.
6, you're just kind of disconcerted by this. They literally just appeared out of nowhere. With an 8, you recognize that they're and Breeb and Draz, you two can make rolls.
I have a 7.
7. You're kind of a similar boat as Duo is. Would you get?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have an 8 as
7.
well. I forgot my plus
7.
1.
All right, so you all just see 3 Jedi standing there: a Syrian male, a female Zabrak, and an elderly male Marluka are standing there. And the Syrian walks forward and he says, "I bid you welcome to the Dawn Temple. We weren't expecting any visitors, especially with the way things have gone. Especially such interesting visitors."
Deja vu.
He stops and he basically nods, bows low, and invites you into the main temple.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we follow him in, thank him for his hospitality.
Hey, honey, do you want to go?
At this point, you see Honk fiddling with something, like inside of his robes, and he basically says, I gotta go back on the ship and handle this thing. I got this, stomach. I'm gonna go on the ship." And Cerex goes with him. He says, "I don't think it's a good idea for us to split up. Plus, this is a lot."
I want to make a move to trust my instincts.
Yes, please do. Ran out of slot.
Oh, man.
What were you trying to trust your instincts to do?
Whether I should go in, like if I'm feeling.
Oh, you feel like you're a threat or anything?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
I got it too.
You're
It's
like,
real bad.
whatever it is, I can handle it.
I mean, she would probably feel that way, so that's
Probably.
fair.
So you are welcomed in, and you're in this large hall of just marble that's almost been melded with crystals. So like the marble is very, very white with the small sparkly of minerals within it. But then every once in a while, one of the three suns will catch this glass inside of these columns, and there's just this unbelievable visual around you, and you realize just how grand this hall is. Statuary everywhere. There's topiary greens. It's just well kept. The Syrian turns around. He says, where are my manners? I am the curator.
What is it that you curate?
Jerek steps forward and says, Jedi Master Jerek. And then looks at you two like, you gonna follow protocol here?
Okay. Wait, so Jerek is introducing himself to the curator?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Jerek just arrived.
Okay.
He has not been in this building.
Okay.
He maybe arrived like maybe 20 minutes before you all did.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a feel.
Mm-hmm.
Have we attained the rank of Jedi Master?
No.
I didn't think
You would
so.
be knights. You were serving under a master during the Clone Wars. And since there was no master to train under for those almost 10 years out in the unknown regions, it's one of those things where you can be like, I feel like maybe I'm a master, but I don't have anyone to tell me I'm a master. Like they give me that rank.
I don't know, Ben. I don't think Jedi would do that. That sounds kind of masturbatory.
Wah, wah. James will be here all night. No, I would ask both of you because you're both we're kind of evolving who you are. It's been 10 years. Are you still both strict adherents to the code, to the what is it, the word and the measure would be for knighthood, so it'd be the code for Jedi? Do you still like wholeheartedly believe in it after everything you've seen and what you've had to do?
Yes.
Brave a little bit like
I mean,
I'm a little more flexible.
Yeah.
I kind of figured Duo would be like, no, I'm like, I believe in this. This is what I believe in. And Brave would be probably, just knowing you both as people, the Brave would be like, I'm flexible.
I've made a couple of agreements with a couple people.
Yeah.
Not really discussed.
Whereas
Stuff happens.
on the far end of that, Nol is someone who's like, yep, nope, not for me, not anymore. The female Zabrak steps forward and says, I am the warden. And lastly, the elderly Marluka leans on his cane and he moves forward. He smiles, just this very, very, very warm smile, and says, I am the jailer.
The
We are
jailer, did you say?
The jailer. We are the Council of Three of the Dawn Temple. We bid you welcome.
I am Jedi Knight Breeb Wumbu.
They all three bow their heads to you, Breeb.
Bow in return.
Matron's kind of like just like staring.
They
She's, like,
do.
looking
They
around.
look at everybody else like, are you want to say anything? Nol kind of looks around and just kind of goes, okay. My name is Nol Yeenech. And they all three turn and look at one another and then turn back.
Do they recognize him?
You think they maybe do.
Yeah. Well, because he said he's been here.
For 6 years he was here. And your friends.
I am wondering. Reputation's probably not gonna help me here, huh?
You would get the impression that this is out on the very edge of the Outer Rim. Also, the
Gotcha.
fact that even these Jedi didn't know where this place was only one in the entire group, and he basically said I was sent there because I did a bad thing. I did it. I did a hit, so they sent me to this place.
Gotcha.
I think well, there's this pregnant pause, or whether people are introducing themselves. I'd like to read the sitch.
Okay, go right ahead. Please do.
That's a 10.
As you're kind of seeing this and kind of feeling through the force at the same time, these aren't people. These are manifestations, probably through holocrons.
Okay.
That being
Interesting.
said, you also realize that they are just the force.
Sure.
These are not holograms. These are like literal manifestations. You've heard of like force ghosts, but this is something else.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
While he's doing that, Matron's just gonna smile and do her best to pull off like unassuming middle-aged woman.
Are you
And
going to
s-
give them a name?
Yeah, well, yeah, probably like a fake name.
Give me your fake name so I can start putting aliases down.
Miranda.
Miranda.
Miranda fake name.
Miranda fake name.
I wonder if you could turn that into a Miranda Falkenam.
We should, you know what she'll do? She'll just use the last name Onaka. Whatever. If it bites him in the ass, that's fine.
Perfect. All right.
I'm so sorry for being rude. I'm Miranda Onaka. This is my husband. We're just sorry. This is a lot, you know. I don't get out a lot. This is really impressive what you got here. This is
What is your Owen? What's the first name of your alias?
Jabba.
okay, Ezra.
Is it Jabba or Jabba?
Jabba.
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 Yeah,
Okay.
no, those huts are serious business. I'm just saying.
They welcome you both, and they basically. So, what can we do for you?
Well, I'm interested. We didn't really expect anybody to be here, I don't think. So, you know, it's a happy surprise for us. We don't have to be alone. You said you're a jailer? Do people visit here often? Do you have a hard time with people?
I am not a jailer. I am the jailer, just as he is the curator, or how my sister would be the warden.
But what are you jailing? People?
They kind of look at each other, and the curator says, "Could I interest you, Onakas, in a beverage in the atrium, and we can discuss that further. I offer you this because this is more of a matter of those in the order. Surely you can respect that."
Oh, of course. Yeah, you know.
Well, I am the educator.
Ah, a learned man.
For I possess knowledges that
Perhaps an
Or-
exchange of knowledge, then. I have been a long time without anyone to have conversation with. I would very much enjoy that. The curator puts out both of their arms as if they're going to walk you down the hallway.
I am going to roll act under fire here.
I mean, hey, I don't know if you're, yeah, that's fine.
How about an 11 on Act
Jesus.
Under Fire?
Yeah, they're totally into this.
I just kind of sighed. Yeah, matron, just go over there.
So and we'll come back to the other contingent. The curator leads you through, and it's kind of hilarious that you have this little old Syrian man like trying to like use your arms to walk you down, but when you touch him, it's almost like you both realize you're touching almost something that's insubstantial and has no substance. Let's just go with that. Words are eluding me. And you're brought in this stunning atrium. He goes to a console and he brings back 2 drinks. He sits down, and you're in these extremely comfortable chairs. You do notice there's a little bit of dust in the air. But he says, Jabba the Educator, I have not left the Dawn Temple in years without number. I know that the Jedi Order no longer exists. We too here received Master Kenobi's message. Which you guys are like, sure, whatever the fuck that means. You travel with Jedi.
Yes.
We traveled with everybody, but yeah.
May I inquire what and why are you doing this? And you both get the complete impression here. This is not like a why are you doing? It's more like a completely no kind of strings attached, like an honest question of like, what the fuck is going on? Like, please tell me anything because I'm totally lost in this.
Well, I am an educator because I used to be on the other side of this conflict.
You can see it's like he's trying to process that, and he says, I am only roughly aware of this other side.
Now, they have made themselves quite well known across the galaxy.
As you can see, here is on the very, very fringes of said galaxy and well hidden. One of the reasons we were very surprised to see you is we were under the assumption no one would ever come here again. Although we have taken precautions. But I see you
Well,
travel with Nol Yeenech, who has been here before.
they required, number one, a ship to get them here, which my dear spouse provided.
So you have done them a great boon and service, and for that I greatly appreciate it.
Of
But-
course, it's what we do.
I mean, yes, we're
And it sounds at a very high risk to yourselves.
Oh. You know, what's a little risk for the sake of helping the betterment of the galaxy?
You can see like deep contemplation on these words. And then just a quiet head bow of like just of gratefulness. I do not have much to offer you, but I would offer you for those services an explanation. So please proceed with your questions.
Are all of us here together?
No, it's just you
No.
two. You did inquire previously about my compatriot, the jailer.
Correct. I'm curious about how that works. If you thought that people weren't going to be here, what are you curating and who are you jailing?
This is a temple. sometimes Jedi lose their path. We refer to it as being eclipsed. They begin to step away from the light side of the Force. If the Jedi Council, or the previous Jedi Council, felt that that individual was someone that could be saved, could find their way back to the light, they would be sent here. If a master went to the council with concerns that they were falling to the dark, they could come here and convalesce. The High Council was very particular about who they sent here. Some Jedi could have been saved, but they weren't.
Not to sound like I'm intruding on your business or anything, but that sounds a lot like what the Empire does with re-education.
Mm.
We don't re-educate. We allow people to convalesce and attempt to re-establish their relationship with the Force. If they cannot do that, if they have eclipsed, we will put them into setting. They will be put in stasis, in the hopes that that time will allow them to find their way back. He kind of turns and looks at you and he says, a Jedi who has fallen to the dark side of the Force isn't a risk to themselves. They are a risk to the entirety of the galaxy. As an educator, I'm sure you know your history. How many wars have been fought? How many lives have been lost because a Jedi chose to go down the path and put the entirety and the balance of everything at risk because of this?
Well, I mean, I haven't known a whole lot of Jedi in my life, but there was a question earlier that asked why
Yes.
Jedi were fighting this war. That's a good question. Why were the Jedi fighting the war? If this is not your way.
That is a question for what was the High Council, and to my knowledge, they are all deceased.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to confirm that.
So that I cannot answer you. The jailer is there to ensure that the stasis, the setting, is safe,
So,
and that those who wish to attempt again to find their path in the light side of the Force are given the opportunity to do so.
so are you trying to say that you have Jedi in timeout here still?
Thousands.
Thousands, really.
The Dawn Temple has been in active state since the High Republic.
Gotcha. So are they all like bad guys? I'm just curious, you know. I don't. Are they all bad? Is there a reason other than they're not doing things the way you think they should be done? I'm
So
just.
as
I'm
this-
so sorry. I don't understand.
No. As this conversation is going on, there's a parallel conversation between the jailer and the warden and their Jedi as well. So I Duo and Breeb, you're getting pretty much the same information currently, just so we don't have to retread it. But the curator says all of the Jedi who are convening with the Force at the moment of this horrific event, who had enveloped themselves in the Force in order to continue to try to find their way back to the light, died. The horrific loss of life caused a ripple within the fabric of the Force. The few remaining took the long expedition, which was always the plan if the council was to fall. All of those in the setting were loaded upon an ark, so to speak, and left for the unknown regions. So no, They're not here.
Hmm.
Our temple is a tomb. They didn't tell you this part, Duo and Brebe. So this is we'll switch back over because Jerek asks at this point to see the setting. He says, as a Jedi Master, I want to see who's left. I need to see who's left. We need to do something like this. It can't just be this way. I refuse. And Nol pulls Duo aside a little bit and says, I did come here for a reason, because my former master was here.
Can you sense his presence now?
He closes his eyes and he reaches out. I cannot feel her. But that does not mean she's not here. I've been here before for a long period of time, and there are ways this place can dull you should you become a threat, or should you be an unknown quantity. It's a safety measure. Again, he reaches down, reaches into his bag where his lightsaber is, and he tries to ignite it, and it won't ignite. See?
Were you here only for your master, or for yourself as well?
Oh, I'm just trying to find her. I just want to. Why would I come here for myself? I'm out.
But previously, when you spent time here.
I think he maybe explained this last episode. He explains that his first master was that wonderful, wonderful boy that we all know and love, that Star Wars character that makes everyone so happy inside their hearts. Let me
Frankie
find that
Valli.
little write-up. Frankie Valli. Was Ponkrell.
Mm.
And Ponkrell pushed Nol really hard, and at one point on Coruscant during their training, Nol lashed out and actually was Pong basically, like, when he got angry, was like, do something about it. And Nol attacked him and actually hurt him, which was like, oh shit, really? This Padawan just injured a master. So Krell went to bat for him to have him sent to the Dawn Temple, because he saw like this Padawan has power, just no focus, no control.
And
So-
the irony there is
So for 6 years, Nol Yeenech lived in the Dawn Temple.
okay.
So he also went through the setting. He was also considered eclipsed as a Padawan.
Did we learn if he ever returned as
Yeah.
a Padawan?
He came back. He was a knight. He fought in the Clone
Okay.
Wars. He was the character that your Scum and Villainy characters met, who had been sentenced. He took what was it called? It's a real thing, and I all of a sudden can't remember what the hell
I know
it's-
what you're talking about.
Yeah, he took the oath of not pacifism, but
Yeah.
path of denial after a particularly nasty thing, and was put in a military trial and given banishment. He just didn't know that his banishment would be put in a stasis tube, put in a escape pod, and dropped in hyperspace.
Yeah.
So, and you guys found him because or Honk found him because his shit bumped into him in hyperspace.
That's like the most honk shit of all
Yeah.
time.
He was sentenced by
Hey, I wasn't doing
someone who had
nothing.
just been promoted to admiral, a Wilhoff Tarkin. So,
Hey, I'm hyperspacing, yeah.
watch previous trilogies. We cover all this. Anyway, so yes, he's he met his master here, who was also was eclipsed, who was coming back here periodically to try to reset with the light. Like this things I feel like he probably had told you before. So we can
Gotcha. Okay.
But he says, I don't, he kind of looks at you too. He says, I don't feel anything.
I'm gonna reach out with the force and try to pull his lightsaber to me.
Knowles?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, he won't even resist, so you don't have to reach. I mean, you could physically reach over and grab.
No. But what I'm trying to figure out is like,
oh, will it work?
Like not even will it work, but like the force, right? Like if it's
the force answers. I mean, you
Okay.
you are able to pull that to you. It won't ignite.
Okay, I'm not gonna try to ignite it.
Okay.
I don't need.
Well, then
to
you take a
grind.
look. As you look at it, the kyber crystal just looks dead.
Okay.
Like
I'll hand it back to
there's
Nol.
no color to it. You don't have that same like feeling.
Mm-hmm. I'll just hand it back to Nol so he can stow it again.
He slides it into his fancy Star Wars fanny pack. So the jailer and the warden walk you into like down and through these pathways, and this again, it's a beautiful, beautiful building. And you're going down, and it's becomes less and less beautiful and more just old. Like you're looking at this, and you're like, okay, this is hundreds of thousands of years old. This is remarkably old. Like you are literally going past almost like building stratas of time, of architecture and time. And you come into a large room, and there are the High Republic version of where stasis tubes would be, almost like Bacta tubes, and they're all empty. And they're just literally for as long as you can see in the dull light, there's just empty. And Jerek turns and looks at the jailer and says, where are they?
Like
Are
he
you-
says that angrily, or
There's definitely a hint of anger. More frustration than anger. And Noel kind of looks at you guys like, this room was full. I have been in those tubes. I've been here. This is nuts.
Do the jailer or the warden respond in any way?
No, they just kind of were waiting to kind of, you get a feeling they're waiting to see how you two will play it and how Noel will play it, because they have one person who's obviously unhappy, and you three just kind of are standing there.
Can you share with us where your wards are?
They've taken the long journey, as was a part of our protocol if if the council was ever to fall. And again, Jerek's like, what are you talking about? Like, this is all news to him. And they play Obi-Wan's message.
How long has it been since they departed?
Directly after the dissolution of the council.
And did they part autonomously, or were they
There
transferred in stasis?
A few in stasis. There were a few Jedi who survived the backlash that were here, and they took it upon themselves. We had hoped the vessel would never need to be used. That's when Jerek says, what about the library? So there's no one alive here. Where's the library? They walk you through another pathway, and the library is also empty. There's nothing there.
Has the collective knowledge gone with
You ask excellent questions, Duolingo. The jailer turns.
I'm a learner.
The jailer turns and says, "The accumulated knowledge that we had was deemed to be too useful for it to fall in the hands of enemies who destroy the order. When the Ark left for the unknown regions, it took that information and has seeded it across its trip. Where, we do not know. We don't know where the Ark itself heads. We just know into the unknown regions. The knowledge this way can potentially be found by members of the Order, should they choose to take that journey to seek it out. But our enemies would be hard-pressed to ever find it, because it is in pieces." At this point, Jerek just storms off. He's just like, he's gone from annoyed and frustrated to pissed off. Also, Shaggy, we would always do the, if it was up your ass, you'd know where it's at. Where are my car keys? If they were up your ass, you know where it's at. So, around your butt, or they're up your butt and around the corner is also very good.
What is it that you do here in the absence?
What is it you'd say that you do here?
I was kindly inquiring what they do now that they have no charges.
Nothing.
Why do you continue to refer to yourself as warden and jailer if there are no inmates?
Those are our names. What we were before we became this is lost to us. And that's when you fully realize these are literally just, again, not Force ghosts, but something else.
How would you feel about having a new purpose?
They kind of look at each other, and the jailer says, "There is no other purpose. This is who we are."
I'm
Unfortunately,
Duolingo, and this is Breeb Woombu, and this is Force Fixer Upper. We're here to change it.
unfortunately, there isn't other options for us. And the jailer says, "I will go check on the status of your friend," and walks to follow Jerek. At that point, the curator says, "I am interested in what you have to say. I have not fallen into such a rut that I do not see the potential of change." Meanwhile, we go back to, gosh, all of a sudden I can't remember who's talking to who. You guys were talking to the warden, right? No,
They
you
were talking to the warden, and
Yeah.
you were talking to the curator.
jailer.
Yeah.
They were talking.
The warden stays to talk to you. The jailer walks away. But you're talking. Owen and the matron are talking to the curator. Why is it you're doing what you're doing? Have you given yourself a moment to think about that?
I mean, I give myself time to think about that almost every day. Don't know that I always come up with a reason that makes much sense. But here we are.
You're sacrificing everything. You
No.
owe no allegiance. You've taken no vow. But yet here you are. You've transported ostensibly criminals. And from my understanding and what you've relayed to me, Jabba, war criminals.
Well, the other side is more war criminally.
If they were to be sitting across from me right now, I think they would probably have a different perspective. I'm not asking for a comparison. I'm just interested.
Well,
Why?
so the easiest way for me to put it would be we're more guiding things in a more favorable direction.
You see a smile on the old man's face, and he says, "You're speaking in a word salad. Speak your mind.
We are
You owe me no explanation, but you also subterfuge means nothing in our conversation. I have no one to tell your secrets to.
it's not that I'm trying to be subterfuge. I'm trying to, you'll have to forgive me. I am trying to speak in a more old-timey noble way like you speak.
No, you need not speak that way for my benefit."
She slowly looks at him, and under her breath, she's like, "Old timey, dear. Really?
Well,
That's what we're gonna go with? Old timey?
they talk about high republics and stuff. That's old-timey stuff.
It's
That's fair.
That's beyond my knowledge levels. So, I'm trying to be respectful here, okay, honey?
okay. I'm not saying that you weren't being respectful. I was just saying.
Okay.
This you're watching his smile is just ear to ear. He just says, "This reminds me of so much of long ago, and I do greatly appreciate that. But why?"
So my spouse and I, we're business folk, okay? We we have a budding enterprise, so to speak.
Smuggling.
That's
It's a harsh word, It's
legitimate transportation of goods.
yeah. There you
War
go.
criminals. He's just smiling the whole time, like, just tell me what it. I'm going to. If you don't tell me what it is, I will tell you what it is.
So, but the thing is the empire doesn't make it easy for small businesses.
I
So
find that most governments do not.
yeah, exactly. So we are trying to direct things and help to make our own lives better as well as others.
I look at it this way. There's always in a story a main character, right? Your protagonist. But there's also lots of other characters who aren't necessarily that protagonist or antagonist who need to help keep the story flowing. Does that make sense? That's us. We're the people that do the work so that the bigger stories can keep being told, like this one here.
He smiles. He says, "My experience, everyone is the main character in their own story until they take a more altruistic standard and step away from that. I do not see altruism in what you do, but I do see necessity in it. Do not feel that I will judge you for what you do. I do not. I left judgment in my past long ago. I just am curious. You put so much at risk for so little. I understand with Jedi. We give a vow. We make a commitment. I am curious because I do not fully understand why two individuals or even more individuals would make such a decision when the profit margin has such a wide, varying rate of success to horrible failure."
All right. You want brass tacks? I'll give you brass tacks. Here's the situation.
And she just kind of smirks.
We're here.
He leans forward on his cane like, "You have my attention."
We're here.
Strokes his long white, like wispy beard. I can't think of the
Like Pai Mei.
yeah, Pai
from
Mei
Kill
beard.
Bill.
Yes,
It's my favorite part of those movies.
I know.
The cruel tutelage of Pai Mei.
Here's the situation. If you were given an opportunity, even if it was through substantial amounts of danger, which, no offense, I've seen my share over the years, to go someplace where you might find some information or some people or some potential goods that might help turn the tide of the situation out there so that you don't have to consistently put yourself in this kind of danger and you can choose instead to put yourself in the kind of danger that you can control, tell me you wouldn't do it.
He smiles and says, of course I would. But I have a vow to upkeep. That's
That's
why
a great thing. We don't.
that's why I find so fascinating. Because I do find that most people who do not have a vow, have a promise, or have a relationship, or have something that holds them to what they're doing when things become beyond their sphere of control. And you two appear to be unmoored from any of that, besides a loyalty to one another. I find that intriguing.
Look, sometimes you just see something that it's just that's enough. You know, you see something happen and you just say that's enough.
He smiles and he says, now that I've asked my question, as an educator, please feel free to ask your questions if you have any further questions. At this point, you kind of hear the noise and catch it on the corner of your eye of the Jedi you guys just met on the landing pad comes storming out. And the curator looks and he goes, I believe Master Jerek has just discovered that those in setting are no longer here.
Actually, since you know you did actually say something, I'm kind of curious. So you said that you had some preordained rule or whatever if the console fell that you were going to send them off on some mission or whatever. And so my question is are our friends here going to have to go on this mission now?
No, that is a wonderful question, but no, we do not. They are not under our stewardship.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Those individuals that were here were not just under our protection, but under our stewardship. And we had a pre-decided outcome if things were to turn that way. It had been in place since the ending of the High Republic. The Jedi Order has been in different times and different periods to a point of falling, or has fallen, its numbers dwindling to under 1,000. This is not the first time the Order has fought in wars. The Order is split in different times and ended up fighting itself. That's one of the reasons that the temple was created. A reactionary measure to Revan in some ways. He kind of pontificates on who Revan was, but I'm not going to go. Everybody knows that, I'm pretty sure. Fuck you, James. You know.
That's that KOTOR shit. I literally have never.
Dude, Revan's like the most interesting fucking character.
Yeah,
That's the good stuff.
Yeah, it's
I
really
don't
good.
disagree with you. I'm just saying that I'm not familiar, but I'll read some.
Okay.
Read the material, James.
Yeah. Read the
I
product.
do the canon material.
Play the
I'm
product.
I don't
giving
waste
you
my
crap.
time with legend shit
I'm
anymore.
giving you crap.
I'm pretty sure Revan might be canon again.
Not everything.
Shh, let Papa Filoni cook. Everything is canon and everything is not canon. It's
He just kind of relays that, you know, a Jedi disagreed with the council, went to war to save the Republic. In the process, after winning the war, came back a couple years later as a Sith Lord, kind of crushed the Republic, and then came back to the light, and then killed one of the most dangerous Sith Lords of all time by splitting himself into a light and dark side. It's some weird shit. Revan's cool. That's what the character said. Revan's cool. But basically, he says, I'm not sure what your long-term plan is here upon the Dawn Temple, but for as long as you're here, you have all the indemnities we would offer anyone. And now, and again, he kind of turns, looks where Master Jerek stomped off to. There's no need for secrecy any longer. He stands up and he bows and kind of basically holds his hands out like, go wherever the fuck you want. There's nothing for us to hide. When you see that, like, you hear a noise and you look over your shoulders and the jailer has appeared there, and the jailer and the curator kind of nod to one another.
Are they cool if we like meander and wander around? And
He's basically giving you the green light to do.
oh,
so.
sweet. So we can. All right.
This is if you wish a guide. All you need is to utter my name, and I will appear.
That is very appreciated. She grabs
Yeah.
her data pad and starts walking around. She's gonna see what she can see.
You two walk into something that it takes you a second to catch the name, but you realize it's called the Hall of Chapters, and it's this massive, almost like a museum. Think about it like a Star Wars version of the Justice League's trophy room.
Neat.
There's just all kinds of wild shit in here. And there's one like wing that's just like the war with the Mandalorians. There's an entire area that's just about Dathomir. There's, like I said, there's an entire area that's just about the I can never say it right. There were Revenish, the Jedis who followed Revan into the war.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just like all this history here. And you can't tell if it's real or if it's all like holograms, but it's just there. So is there anything in particular that Owen and the matron are looking for?
Yes. I mean, I hate to say this. Her initial reaction would be to try and find any kind of information about a weapon or something that might be able to be found or utilized. Like, I know that's a little tiny needle in a great big haystack.
No. I mean, that's not what I thought you would ask for. But you do see an entire section that's about the Rakatans. And one of the things you see there is something called the Star Forge.
Okay.
While Matron's looking for that, I'm actually looking for any kind of star charts or maps.
Most of them are just like 3D visual representations of the evolving hyperspace lanes and mapping of the galaxy from the very end of the High Republic all the way till probably 20 years ago.
Anything that references the unknown regions.
There's like you're kind of looking at this and it's almost like flipping through like digital pages and the map keeps changing. It talks about that there are lost maps of the unknown region from prior to the High Republic, that the Jedi Order sent ships and Jedi out into the unknown region, and that most of them didn't come back. It also talks about how at different times the Sith retreated into the unknown regions, and generally came back more powerful than they were when they left. It talks about the I can't think of what Vitiate's thing was called, like the Unending Empire or something like that, and how that came out of the unknown regions originally. It just says, the unknown regions are an area where they're not sure how big it is, and they're well aware that at some point, basically, the galaxy butts up against something.
Hey, honey, you might
Yeah.
find this interesting. You know, they talked about sending those Jedi who were in timeout because they were thinking bad thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
They sent him to a region where the Sith came back stronger from. Why would you send guys who were probably who might be turning into Sith into some place to make them stronger?
I don't know. This. Don't say this to Fentis, but like, I'm starting to really wonder about these people. I don't. I mean, it's not. I know. I know. I know. It's an entire thought process that I don't understand, and I'm recognizing my own bias. But does it seem a little weird to you? I guess that's it. Does it just seem a little weird to you? Because it's just,
They seem like they need therapy.
yeah, yeah.
You do see like things that you aren't really aware of that are that far out there. Like you see things like the Chiss Ascendancy. You see like throughout this, as you're looking at it, and you see like the tie-in cluster and hut space, like start in one area, get bigger, fight a war, shrink. You see like how that part of the Outer Rim has changed drastically into certain controlled areas. But that's kind of like you see that slow expansion of the Outer Rim, and you see what looks like probably the last relays and updates of this were at the end of the Clone Wars. So that's kind of the last updated version of the galaxy you're looking at.
It's like everything just stops.
Yeah, it kind of looks like this place kind of just stopped.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back in the library, Duo, Bree, what are you guys up to?
So when the warden and the jailer, do they disappear from us? Like, at any point, are we?
The warden's still there. The jailer followed Jerek.
Okay. I thought that you had said that they both appeared like over with the curator, and I didn't know whether.
No, the warden is still there. Because the warden asked Bree, like you mentioned something. I'm intrigued by this thought.
Okay.
So yes, we have some compatriots that are in trouble, I guess you could say. We are looking for space they could be safe.
Are you asking for us to provide shelter and succor to a new group of people?
I am.
The warden looks very thoughtful and says, this like lasts like 10, 15 seconds, and then says, of course.
We would appreciate that.
Of course. By all means. I don't think you would ask if you had other options.
Not even close.
The curator smiles and he says, you do the order proud by that this type of creative thinking. And that's about when Nol asks about his former master, and he gets the lowdown that she was the head of the arc that left into the unknown regions. So she's alive at least, which he's very happy about.
Nol, do you want to go after her?
No. No. I just know she's alive, and that's all I needed to know. He smiles at both of you and says, I don't want any part of that. I'm doing something different with my life. And once I figure out what the next step is, I'll do that. But no more order for me. No more masters. No more Padawan. It's not that I'm dogging on you guys. This stuff, it's not for me. I've had plenty of time to think about it. I'm happy being balanced as me.
Everyone has their own path.
The curator or the warden kind of looks down and smiles and nods.
So I'd like to ask the warden about Jerek. It seems that he's not taking this as well as we are.
My understanding is Master Jerek was not here during the purge. You two were when the purge occurred. You survived. I would ask you to think about it from his perspective. You return from a great journey, full of success and information to share, preferably with your master, who adores information. And you come back to know that everything you were a part of and everyone you knew isn't there anymore.
I don't have to imagine it. I was there for it being taken from me.
He was not. You had time to make that adjustment. He is not. That is why I would look at that perspective as being different. A Nol kind of looks at you and says, I wasn't either. And now I want no part of this. So we all react differently. I mean, this is someone who thought they were coming back to get parades and lauding for doing what they did and finding what they found. And they come back to nothing. Like your entire life's work doesn't matter. I volunteered to go into exile. I took the path of denial. I had a say in that.
It does make me curious what information he went for.
I'm slightly curious as well. It's none of my business, but I am slightly curious.
Well, perhaps that's a conversation we should have with him.
Do you want to go find him? All right,
Yeah.
you three, you guys follow, and the jailer goes no further than where you guys originally saw the three of them. And he just stands and he's looking, and you see Jerek like adamantly, like walking and talking like in a very animated style.
Just talking to himself, or is he talking to the jailer?
No, he's just talking to himself, it appears.
Okay. What do we hear as we come up?
It's one of those things where you can hear someone like ranting and raving, but you can't make out what they're saying, you know? Basically, me anytime I rant and rave. Just some of it's gobbledygook. But very animated and very angry.
I think I'd like to. I'd like to reach out with the Force and observe kind of what his kind of constitution
Are
is.
you going to force spy on him?
No, I'm just
Are you
going to
gonna
like.
Are you gonna force peep on Jerek?
I am going to commune with the Force and see what the Force is telling me about this individual who seems to be very angry at this moment.
You could tell Super
Frustrated.
Smart Guy was pearl clutching hard there. Okay, make your roll.
10.
He's talking to someone. He's on a communicator to someone.
I'm going to, as subtly as possible, communicate this to Breeb and Nol.
They kind of just look. Noel just looks puzzled. He's like,
And
"Who did
say,
we tell?"
he
Who would
didn't
we
tell
talking
us that he was here with anyone else, correct?
He didn't mention it.
He's not. He's outside of his ship and he's actually talking on a comlink.
Yeah, well, I mean, regardless, like,
Yeah, so it's not
you
like
know,
he's
he basically said that he like,
Yeah, it's not like there's somebody else on the ship. I just want to get that across.
oh yeah,
He's talking to someone else.
I picked up what you're throwing down. I figured he was talking to someone on a comlink, but I was just like, who is it that was not kind of part of what he discussed? You know, he said he was drawn here, and it seemed very like altruistic and like him as an individual, as a Jedi being drawn here. Do we feel like we should approach him?
Noel kind of looks at you both and was like, This is not my thing any longer. And he kind of looks down and he goes, fine. And he just walks towards where Jerek is.
I'm going to call on the Force just in case to try to force hold.
Force hold who?
You can call on the Force.
Oh, okay. I think you meant like hold somebody, like hold person type of thing. And you were making, I'm just calling on the Force to hold that power to use it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like, yes, it's a consular move to like hold that, and then you can expend that as part of the other thing. But I'm basically trying to tap into the Force to like prepare for this could go poorly. And I just want to be prepared
you see them
to
converse,
protect.
and you see like Jerek go from like here down to here, and you see him put his comlink away, and like he's nodding, and Noel's like just kind of talking with his hands and is very calming. And one thing you know is one of the reasons he took the path of denial is because he saw that violence and wanted to take more of a pacifist stance. Which is something you're both very aware of because of who you served under at Starlight Beacon also had a very similar stance on this. They've had the attitude of I should never have to light my lightsaber because my words should be enough. And they come back like Jerek, you can tell is kind of like, but still it's coming back. Like just he's got butthurt face, but they're both coming back and they get back, and you know Noel kind of looks at Jerek like, you tell them, and Jerek says, I reached out to a contact number or to a comlink contact that I had not reached out to yet because it's not someone obviously it's not someone I felt very comfortable reaching out to, but it's also someone who's proved to be a survivor in other situations. So I reached out to them because this is a catastrophe. And I thought if I knew anyone who could survive this thing we keep dancing around, the extermination of all of us, would be this person.
A former member of the Order?
Yes.
The Master?
Yes. Barely.
Who is it?
Tremaine.
Would we know them?
Antinous Tremaine. That's the Master Antinous Tremaine. It's not no one you've heard of.
Okay.
Okay.
I can't say I'm familiar with them.
Nor I.
Jerek smiles, and it looks like the first like good humored smile. He goes, "You wouldn't have." Before I left, he was just being granted his knighthood. His Padawan period had taken far longer than most. He's always been a friend, but also a problem. We all have those people, I'm sure. He's those people. And I'm not much for a fight. And Antis has been there when I've needed him to be. Now, granted, that was before my time in the unknown regions. Now I've become quite the swordsman. Out of necessity, unfortunately. I did not mean to lose my temper earlier. Jailer, I just have found this entire series of events to be taxing. The jailers just deep nods. And then Jerek says, I would like to see whatever you do have left on the fall of the Republic, so I can at least be up to speed. So the jailer takes Jerek in to an adjacent area to the Hall of Chapters, and he sits down and just begins to voraciously take in information. Nol looks at both of you and says, I believe him, but something feels weird. This all feels bad. Or maybe it's just because people I've had known for 6 years are all just gone. Or that all of this is gone and this is just kind of a horrible facsimile. Like the remnants of somewhere you went as a child. And you see it with adult eyes. But this is... I don't think we should stay here much longer.
I agree.
You don't think this can be a safe haven for our compatriots?
I don't know. It's just not somewhere I want to be. And maybe that's my selfishness. But this feels very wrong. He takes a big sigh and he kind of walks off towards a building not attached to the main temple. Back in the Hall of Chapters, the matron, you get a chance to read about the Starforge. Is there anything else you want to?
I am trying to remember the name of the person that we were initially trying to find, the one who is presumed dead, and matron's like not believing it.
Alari Marin.
Thank you. Would there be any information on her here?
Alari was a junior senator, and more like a I can't think of the term in political, like a runner basically for a politician. I can't think of
An aide.
kind of a little bit further up. I bet you do, Nate. A little bit like up from where an aide would be, and was mainly because of familial connections. So
A nepo baby.
yes, and that's the way that John described her, was a nepo baby / space Karen, and that kind of went away, and there was more like this person's just like someone who has that psychology degree and uses it for evil. So, Mitch. So yeah, I and of course Alari has changed since I don't think John will ever come back to play her. So, he gave me green light to take it in other directions.
Gotcha. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
One thing you do see, Draz, you do see some hyperspace lanes that were on old maps that aren't on current maps.
I'm gonna pull whatever data pad I have and try and snap
Yeah,
pictures.
easily.
Whatever.
You can pull out your little pad and you're like kind of scanning through and just. I was looking at. I'm pretty sure like everything's on a link where you can just pull the picture directly to your pad. You're finding paths that were there during the Republic's war with the Nihil. Or I should say the Republic. It was more the Jedi's war with the Nihil. As well as like mentions of path drives and like kind of what how the Nihils used path drives and how it's a lost technology. Sort of lost.
Kind of point this out to Matron. Hey, look at all this.
You're looking at it's kind of stuff that the public either doesn't remember anymore or it was never told to the public at large.
And if nothing else, that's important information to have because the Empire is very stuck in their ways. So, this could be beneficial. This could mean routes that aren't being utilized. This could be safe haven spaces somewhere in there that they're not even keeping an eye on. Like, this is worth investigating. This might make the whole trip worth it for us.
You also both realize as you're looking at this, there are markers in places that seem important, but you've never seen on any other star map. And you're getting the impression these might be other temples.
This could be good information to share with some of our partners.
I agree. Hey,
This is why I like you.
we know something they don't know.
And that's how it should be.
Anything else you want to explore in the hall?
Honestly, I'll just kind of look around and see if anything grabs my attention that might seem important. But
Yeah.
there's nothing specific I'm looking for. Just kind of looking to see if anything looks like it might be important for us to know.
Yeah, it's a lot of history. Like I said, about other cultures and wars that the Jedi have fought in. There's holocrons there, but you can't tell if they're actual holocrons or recreations, and you're kind of like, why would they put actual holocrons here when they said they've gotten all the information out of here? So you're thinking they're just like placeholders, for lack of a better term. But there's armors, there's weapons, there's, like I said, it's kind of like a Justice League, trophy room.
I'm just gonna try and gather as much information to my data pad as I can as we're kind of going through.
A lot of it is like information that the public would have access to, plus. So think about it like if the public has access to like the basic, this is like graduate level studies. But it's also all from the perspective of the Jedi.
Interesting.
So there is a skew to it.
Do I know, out of curiosity, we know the general area that Alani Marin was.
Alari Marin?
Yeah,
when she died?
When she supposedly died. We know, right?
Yeah.
Can I cross-check that just when she'll probably wait to do this until we get to the ship because we've got the information. So but she wants to take some of those pathways, if any of them are in that area, and cross-check.
To see if it matches up.
Yeah, just to see if there's anything. Like, it's very conspiracy theory, but like she's not buying it. She's not buying that she's dead.
So I will ask you. I'll just let you decide. Does it?
Ow! That would be a kitten.
I couldn't tell if Richard was, it was like in pain, was getting ready to bust into song, or if something real bad was happening.
I mean, he was in pain, but it was probably that little butt.
Fair.
No. Nope. He'd rather claw you.
I'm here for the. Excuse me, Father. I'm here for the pain.
I'm gonna say I think it would be interesting if there was an inkling of like a vague possibility.
Then that's what you find. You find that there is a conjunction point there. Hey, Kane. So that there appears to be some sort of at least potential connection between the two.
It's more than what we came here with.
Exactly.
Yep. Worth it.
At this point, as you guys are in here, there is a odd kind of color change throughout the temple. And like the lighting goes to like a soft red. And Jerek walks outside and looks up.
You say he looks up?
Yeah. Oh shit is right. The general, the red lights and oh shit is generally the universal sign for oh no.
Oh shit, it's upgrade.
No, you don't have to turn on the red light.
Shit, it's upgrade. Yep. It's upgrade.
Is there a ship approaching?
Kind of pushing through the cloud cover is a Acclamator class Star Destroyer.
Oh,
great. Love this class.
Two Gazanti cruisers come out behind it, and they're both carrying walkers. And they set the walkers down like a mile or so away from the temple. And then a shuttle, a Lambda class shuttle, comes down.
Are the warden / jailers / curator anywhere to be found?
They're gone.
We were told that they just need to be called by name.
Mm-hmm. Well, you weren't, but
we were.
It's hard to keep track when you're like, you know all of this except for a couple of things, which you may
except for very important things.
May not know. Okay. Are there any
Imperial Walkers, the goodest murder boys?
Yeah.
Is our shipmates that are still on the ship telling us that this has happened?
No, it's silent from the patients.
Great.
Can you try raising them? Or is it getting jammed?
Matron and I don't even
I'm
know.
guessing by that
we don't know.
We're still in the archive or the trophy.
Yeah,
room.
you guys don't. Owen and the matron, I don't think you're just like, oh, red lights.
Do we
feel?
have
yeah, I mean,
anybody on? Do we have anybody, or do we have anybody on board we could call?
I mean,
No.
if you want to check your comms,
Well, Honk.
Your comms,
Yeah, let me call Honk.
Your comms are jammed.
Okay, well, that's why I was asking. You didn't say explicitly. You just gave us a shit-eating grin. So
well, I thought
that's
that
what
was.
I was checking.
I thought it was kind of like, a non-verbal.
So wait,
cue.
we just saw the lights change to like red.
Yeah,
or
like a soft red.
Oh, yeah, that's generally probably not great. She'll kind of like glance around. Like we won't be aware of anything, but she'll look over and be like, "Yeah, we might want to wrap this up. I don't think that's good."
Are Duo and Breeb, do you go outside?
Yeah. How far? Where is the ship in relationship to us? Where's our ship in relationship to us?
It's like so I'm thinking like the temple, and then there's a landing pad where your ship and Jerek's ship is, and the lambda like lands in a way where it's between you and your ships.
Okay. Is anyone coming out?
Yes, the gangplank drops, and troopers in black armor, tinged
good.
with green, make their way out, and they stand
Really
at attention.
don't like that.
And a man in a white uniform, with a white, like it almost looks like Jedi robes, but just at the top, and because it comes into a cape. And their skin is like it's like kind of almost like Pantoran, so it's a little bit blue, a little bit of purple, but some of their face is all just cybernetic. And they come marching down, they're kind of straightening their uniform out as they walk down, and they look at all of you and they smile. Jerek, I thought you were dead, and you have friends. He whistles, and a couple people, and they bring out like table and chairs and food. Hey, sit. Do you guys, Matron Owen, do you come out?
Yeah, we were talking about leaving, so I would think
Yeah.
that we're starting.
As soon
to
as you
make our way
appear,
out.
like he waves all of you. He's like, my table always has room for more. Please sit. How rude of me. I'm Grand Adjudicator Antinous Tremaine.
And I'm going to use my reputation skill.
Same.
Remind me again what your reputation skill does.
Okay, so reputation means when we meet someone important, and it's our call when it happens, we roll plus cool. On a hit, they've heard of us, and we get to say what they've heard.
Okay, cool. You can make that roll and let me know.
Okay. Rich, you want to go first?
No, go
Or
ahead.
should we do it? Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
It's gonna be like the Predator handshake. Dylan, you son of a bitch.
That's going to be a 7.
So I get to decide with a 7, correct?
Uh,
Because it's like a 6, they haven't heard of you. 7 to 9, they've heard of you, but I decide.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Owen.
Hi, my friend.
Owen.
I rolled a 12.
Oh, so you get to tell me.
So,
That stinks.
hang on a
Rude.
second.
Rude. How you going to freaking steal my thunder like that?
You can put it, you can put it in the private chat if you want. He offers you all
love
sit
it.
down, and he looks around. Jarek sits down, and he, like I said, they're bringing food out. There's 2 AT-ATs like in the distance now, just who have been released from their clamps by the Gazantes, are kind of just circling.
Great.
And Tremaine kind of leans back and he says, "You, I know," and he points at the matron. "You, Bulwark Station. You killed an Inquisitor. That's impressive. You blew up a whole space. You blew up a whole space station. Let's be honest. Luckily, that's not my side of the Inquisitors, so I actually find it quite funny. And anytime the Navy gets a black eye."
I'm sorry, what was the name again?
My name? His
No,
character is Grand Adjudicator Antinous Tremaine.
What I'm going to say.
As you're figuring out, he looks at Duo and Brebe and he says, "I don't know you two Jedi. I don't believe we ever had the pleasure."
We sure didn't.
Well, you still wore the robes of the Order, so would you be so kind to introduce yourselves?
Jedi Knight Brebe Wumbu.
All right. Here is what he knows about me. He knows that I was a member of the ISB and I abandoned the Empire during the search for Cal Kestis.
Okay, so he kind of looks and he goes, you look very familiar as well.
I just have that face.
Security Bureau.
No, never.
I can, beyond the fact that it's part of my abilities in my relationship with the living force, I can just tell when people are lying to me. So since I believe in having an honest conversation, just be honest with me. I'll be honest with you.
That was a previous life.
Ah, I know all about that. Previously, I wore those robes as well. I was a Jedi. I'm sure Jerek could tell you. We had a lot of interesting times together. Frankly, Jerek, I thought you were dead. So to hear from you was just a delight. Owen Draz. That's your name. I knew you from somewhere.
Yeah.
You guys are running with a rough crowd. Officer Draz was no joke. And the matron, like I said, you blew up a whole space station.
More than one, but that's another story.
Didn't you escape from a prison ship?
I did.
Not my problem. Not my monkey, not my zoo.
That is the answer that we love to hear.
Breeb Wumbu, he pulls out a data pad and he starts looking. Dead. Well, obviously you're not dead, but to the Inquisitorius you are.
Oh, well then we can be on our way.
Well, I mean, we can eat first, but then yes, I have no reason to ask other of you. Your friend, who I think can probably speak, but is just being judicious with his words. First he looks at Nol and he says, I don't know you either. And he just says, my name's Nol. He says, fair. Fair. Jerek is like looking at Duo like, don't fuck this up.
Just a friend.
Well, since we're friends, and I've introduced myself, friend, I just want to see if you're someone that the Inquisitorius is looking for. Or if you're dead, like your other friend.
If Breeb is dead, then I'm definitely dead.
See, here's the thing. It's not that I'm a stickler for the rules, because I'm not. But I am someone who definitely likes to know things. So, your name, please. The longer you kind of delay this, the more you see these purge troopers sort of circling the table a little bit more.
I'll give him my name then.
He checks it. He goes, oh, that is well. Starlight Beacon, huh? I've never been there.
It was a nice place.
A lot of places were nice places. But I'm here to pick up Jerek. So I'm going to afford the same offer to all of you that I'm affording Jerek, but especially you two dead men. I am a member of the Inquisitors, but not on the Grand Inquisitor's side. I do not work under the purview of Lord Vader. I work directly through an intermediary with the Grand Emperor, Chief Palpatine. I don't find myself in the business of hunting down Jedi and murdering them. My portion of the the Inquisitors finds that to be counterproductive. I look to bring in former brethren in from the cold. Since the order's gone, no more High Council, no more masters, no more apprentices, no more Padawans, no more hierarchy, no more banned information, no more teachings that we can't look at, no more secrets in rooms with 8 old people making decisions for the entire order and telling us it's because they've seen things. So, I offer you the same thing I'm offering Jerek, to come in from the cold. I'm not going to ask you to do something you don't want to do. So if you're not comfortable with getting your hands dirty, Jerek's not comfortable with it, but he is very comfortable with books, and we have everything. I don't know you, Knight Lingo, or Knight Wumbo. So you'd have to tell me what you would be interested in. But as the Grand Adjudicator, I can probably make that happen. Now, as for your friends here, Officer Draz and the Matron, nothing would make me happier than to employ you. You have no idea how much it would piss off people in the Navy and in the ISB. So I would offer you the same deal. Come work for the Inquisitors. I can find work for people like you. I will pay you well, and I'm never going to ask you to do something you're not willing to do. That's not, the Empire is large enough that there are people who will do that gleefully. That's one of the conditions I had about taking this position when my predecessor was killed. So.
How'd that happen?
Jedi. But see, that's what happens when you attack someone. When you just assume that it's an enemy. That is not my assumption, and it doesn't need to be my reality. I don't adhere to the dogmatic, oh, look, I'm on the light side of the Force and you're on the dark side of the Force. That's over. That war was fought, and we lost. Emperor Palpatine wants peace in our time. Is it peace through force? It might very well be. But if you'll look around, those systems who have submitted to the Empire, those senators who have sided with the Empire, their lives are even better than they were prior to the Clone Wars. I didn't want to go to a war and fight and be a general, something I'd never done before. I didn't want to watch people die. And I certainly didn't want my own troops try to kill me. I'd have to run until I finally was caught.
Here's my issue, though, and it's not that I don't appreciate it, because you know what? It would be pretty great to see the reaction on a few people I know's faces. It'd be hilarious. Here's my issue. One would be a bit of a conflict of interest with some other gigs I've got going on right now.
Fair. That's fair. I respect that.
Yeah, it's really,
May I interrupt for a moment?
of course.
How about I give you a manner to contact me? So once those things are done with, if you choose, if you have the time to think about what I'm offering you both. And for Officer Draz, no rigmarole, no shuffling paper, no answering to someone who's failed upwards above you. This is freelance work with an open pocketbook, just as long as the work gets done.
I think it'd be good to stay in touch. And yeah, I mean, darling, that's not a bad thought process for you.
He snaps his fingers and he has a comm link, like a coded comm link brought. You can check it. It's a one-way link. I won't be able to trace where you are. You can contact me. And then you can choose whether or not to give me the coordinates.
It's a good
But
plan.
please continue. I am very rapt with attention upon what you were saying about your
Oh.
loyalty to your other contracts.
No. It's not so much that. It's just I it's business, you know. I like to wrap things up with a nice neat little bow before I kick off and do something else. But here's the thing. I do have lots of tight people in my family circle. She kind of puts an arm around Dress because, like,
He smiles.
in her mind, she's like, "Shit, can I play both sides and make this work to my advantage?"
He smiles and says, that's why I'm here. And Jerek this whole time has just kind of got this stunned look on his face. Like he definitely called Antinous, but he did not expect this. Like he's like kind of deer in the headlights. When I found out Jerek was alive, I had to be here for him. We pulled each other out of some serious scrapes. And I wanted to be the one to pull him out of this before someone contacted the Inquisitors on the Inquisitor sides of things. Because while I don't do business that way, they do.
Yeah, would have been maybe nice to know that he had that thought process before it happened. But it's fine. It's fine. What are you gonna do here? Are you just picking him up and leaving, or?
Oh, pretty much. If you're worried about me attacking you, I'm not going to do that.
Hmm.
Because while I'm making the same offer to you, Night Lingo and Night Woomba, why would I attack you? You're already dead. So when I explain that in a report, I would be killing dead men. And frankly, that's stupid.
That's extra paperwork you don't need anyway.
So while if you come back with me, it's a huge boon in my pocket that I found these two knights and I brought them into the fold. But if you turn me down, then it's no loss. It's no harm, no foul. We move about our lives. Now, the one thing I would say is I would give you a piece of advice. If you two gentlemen decide that coming in from the cold isn't for you, and you wish to stay out in the wilds, I would run. I would run as far away as I possibly can. Because your chances of meeting me again become very slim. But your chances of meeting an Inquisitor, force forbid, Lord Vader, become much larger. And if you do, well, the matron can explain what an Inquisitor is, but even she can't explain what Lord Vader is. And you most certainly will die. Most likely horribly. And for that, I'm sorry. So if you decide that you want no part of the Inquisitors, I do understand. But do yourselves a favor and leave the galaxy. Because they're going to hunt every single Jedi down. That's all they think about. That's all they do. Something to think about.
Well, I, for one, will have to pass on your offer. I'll take my chances.
Fair enough. There's a bunch of food on the table, and now he's you got the impression that he doesn't know if Duo's ever going to say anything, so he just keeps eating. Or it's kind of this uncomfortable silence as he's eating and kind of just chit-chatting across the table with all of you. The food, if you eat it, it's real good.
Is it?
It's real good.
I was gonna say, is it yum?
It's very yum.
It's real good.
He's like, this is like rich people food. This is Star Wars rich people food.
She of course has to finish it with trying to hand everybody nearby lemon bars.
So the matron would actually probably notice that Owen is being extremely quiet, not saying anything, not even really moving, hasn't eaten, is just sitting in the chair, not taking the eyes off of the adjudicator.
Nol is also extremely quiet. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Matron's just enjoying a nice lunch. It's fine.
Duo
it's
and
tasty.
Wumbu, are you eating? Are you engaging in this small talk, or just staying quiet?
Yeah, Breeb's definitely going to eat. I don't think he can pass that up.
It is real good. Like, you're like, oh shit, this is good.
I think probably still weighing the gravity of the situation a bit. I don't
Jerek,
think
it takes Jerek a little bit, but Jerek starts to eat. Duo, are you just gonna kind of sitting there like I picture Duo like arms crossed in his robes, hood up, but you can see his eyes and he's just kind of quietly contemplating the situation.
Yeah.
Okay. So after the courses all are gone through and the table is cleaned and removed, and you're just sitting on chairs, he says, well, Jerek, I believe it's time for us to leave. And Jerek kind of hesitates for a moment. The Grand Adjudicator just slowly turns his head and looks at him. And Jerek says, it is time to leave. And he looks at all of you and he says, you really should have took him up on the offer. And he walks in. And Tinnis slaps Jerek on the shoulder and says, I'm extremely happy to see you, Jerek. You have no idea. And Jerek walks aboard the shuttle. And the Grand Adjudicator kind of looks around and you can see the Gozanti's picking up the walkers and moving back up into the upper atmosphere and out into to orbit. And Tinnis stops for a second. He says, oh, so I am going to have to blow this place up. I hope you understand that.
For what reason?
I can't let it stand here.
Why?
It's a reminder of the order, and one part about my job is eliminating those things, or at least confiscating them and putting them away. Not something I relish. I mean, I've heard stories about this after I was brought into the Inquisitors, but I've never seen it. From what I understand, it was kind of a dirty secret. They did some really bad things here.
I've gathered.
It's again that weird juxtaposition you see when you're no longer being told what truth is and you get a chance to look through an actual history of both sides. It's terrible. And I hope you two knights don't have to go through that same moment that I did. Ugh. And he kind of waves a finger, and an ion cannon blast comes roaring out from the atmosphere and hits your ship. Can't have you following me either. So you probably got about 10 minutes of your ship not working. But if you survive the bombardment, you should be just fine. I'll keep it on that side of things until the 10 minutes are up. Plus, I mean, I wouldn't offer you the lucrative offer I'm offering if you got killed in orbital bombardment, would I?
One would hope not.
Also, Owen, you'll love this. Do you know what this gives me, Owen? Do you know? Owen, do you know?
Hmm.
Something I'm sure you were very, very, very good at in the ISB. Plausible deniability. So think about this as the way that I can go back to my superior and say, they're dead for sure. Because while I trust Jerek, I can't trust that everything that will come out of Jerek's mouth is something that should come out of Jerek's mouth in this particular case. I'm sure you understand. So I'll hold it off for just a tad longer. But I would get off the planet as soon as you can. I hope to hear from you soon. Both of you. Night Wumbu, night Lingo. I hope I never see you again. For your sakes. He starts to walk up the ramp with the purge troopers, on his side, all the way up, and he stops and he turns around and says, one more thing. As the gangplank starts to go up, he says, may the force be with you. And the ship takes off.
God, what a dick.
And then the bombardment starts.
Question.
Yes.
He didn't eye on both ships, did he?
He did not. But also remember, Jerek told you that his ship was in real bad shape.
That's fine. As soon as that ship takes off, though, as soon as the Lambda class shuttle takes off, I want to try and get on Jerek's ship to see if I can track the direction that ship goes.
Yeah, you can easily get on there. Like you get into this Delta this Delta shuttle, and you're like, someone's been living on this ship for like 10 plus years, almost 20 years. It looks like a bachelor pad gone awry. Bachelor's pad in space. You're like, it's not even so much that the mess visually hits you first. It's kind of that smell, that musty bachelor smell. You're like, oh.
Reminds me of when I was an ensign.
You get on there and you're like, okay, and you start tracking the trajectories of those Gozanti who leave first.
Mm-hmm.
And then because the Star Destroyer is staying in the upper atmosphere because it is literally starting to bombard this area. What do you guys want to do as this is occurring, the rest of you?
I think that we need to let everybody that's on the ship that we haven't been able to communicate with for a while know exactly what's going on. And
so you go in, and Honk is holding, like it's actually levitating in his hands, a red crystal.
A red crystal like a holocron, or a red crystal like
just like a crystal, but it does look like a crystal that we put in a
like a kyber crystal.
You're not positive, but if it's a kyber crystal, it's real big. And Cyrex is standing there and he goes, I didn't do it. I swear. And he's like, why isn't the ship working? And then the ship gets rocked, and that's what we're going to stop.
I just have to do one thing.
No, please do.
The only thing Matron's gonna do before she immediately heads for her ship is pull out her data pad and send a message.
Hi, Pookie, sweetheart, darling son of mine. Got a job for ya.
Perfect.
We'll send Quinn. She doesn't want to deal with that asshole.
So I'll talk about this on prep school or something. Let's go on the table, tell everybody where who you are, who you be with, where you can be found. What you be doing?
Yeah, I'm James. I play Duolingo. I was told that I go first. I be with my wife, Sarah. She's over there.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Greta.
Greta, no here today.
I can still yell hi. Hi, Huey. Hi, Ruby.
Yeah, they hear that. You can find me hanging out with the King, doing things on the stream. And
You want to hang out tomorrow night
do
for
I
an
want to hang
hour?
out tomorrow night?
Because our boy
Or-
is super sick,
Oh no.
real bad. So I don't think he'll be on tomorrow.
Yeah, it depends on time. I have reviews at a certain point, but I need to figure out when that is. It's finals week also.
Yeah,
Yay.
it's
So
Ming on,
Yeah.
it's
you can
Ming
find
on
me doing a
Ming.
lot of grading.
Yeah, Ming on Ming. I just want someone to be able to chit chat with as I'm going to be gluing dudes together. I think tomorrow night. I did some painting today, so maybe I'll show that off. But
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
I got these. I can't remember the name of it. I got these a couple years ago. Dungeons and Lasers boxes, and I've been slowly putting everything together.
Nice.
Maybe I'll paint a little bit. I don't know. All right.
I am Richard. I play Owen Draz or Jabba.
Jabba Onaka.
Jabba Onaka. You can find me occasionally on
The New
Meta
Hampshire
Games.
Onakas.
I am also going to be prepping to start streaming some more often.
Hell yeah.
So be on the lookout for that eventually. You can find me ONY_Draz at all the places.
Oh, I'm yawning. I'm Shannon. It's been a long day. You can find me on the socials at Rainbow Beach, BEECH. Also working on a new show project that might be coming down the pipe. So yeah, I will hopefully have more details about that in the near future. But I will also be probably streaming alongside Richard
Yay!
occasionally and doing some stuff. And yeah, just generally trying to have fun. I do not unfortunately have the cutest kitten with me because he's in Richard's room.
Donate to Shaggy. He's jumping to Lake Michigan.
Yes.
Somebody told him to go jump in a lake and he listened.
9 years straight.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so I'm Nate, played Breeb Wumbu. Definitely not going to follow the dark side. That's not cool.
I mean, I hit you with my first offer, and you were like, "Oh no, I guess not."
Yeah, I was like, Breeb, nah, not so much right now. Maybe later. Probably not. Anywho, you can find me on the socials at Cubicle Zombie. Sometimes I post things, maybe. You can also find me here playing Star Wars. Maybe next year we'll be playing other things. Maybe.
January 1st, the shitty little kids are back.
All right, so not maybe. Now you know.
The kids are back in town.
Yes.
And you can also donate to the link that Beard posted. Our Extra Life through the end of the year. Also, donate to Shaggy. He's good people.
Heck yeah.
Excellent peoples.
I'm so excited. Shitty little kids are coming back.
Also, just to throw this out here, I mean, you all can think about it. You don't have to do it. I'm thinking about doing a 24-hour speed run D&D.
Oh.
Ooh.
You make a first level character, and then by the end of the 24 hours, you will have 20th level.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
boy.
that sounds amazing.
So like the time jumps and stuff like that, but I kind of think that would be super fun for like a charity stream thing.
Interesting, yeah.
That could be fun.
Yeah, I thought it might be real weird and stupid and super fun. And I'd probably make it tied to D&O somehow. Just because I think that would be big, dumb fun.
Sure.
But yeah, maybe like let the chat, like let me know if you'd be interested in something like that. Also, if it was 24 hours, like we got people jump in and then jump out. Because they'd be like, oh, for these number of years, my character decided to open a bar and, you know, get into D&D equivalent of investment banking.
I mean, there's.
I don't know how real life works.
Would there be multiple DMs, or is that you going ham for 24 hours?
I think I would go ham for 24.
Oh my gosh.
I
I
know I know Darren has mentioned a few times if we would be willing to do a charity stream for for the nonprofit he works for. And I've said, well,
Okay.
yeah, when we have time. And I kind of feel like at some point I got to make time to do it. And Darren's been amazing to run for and is just such a wonderful human being, and a charity for abducted children in the state of Minnesota and people who have been trafficked and things like that, I think is extremely important. So that's kind of how I look at it. Anyway, tomorrow I'll be for about an hour. It's Mang on Mang. What am I going to do? Probably paint some little dudes, or at least glue little dudes together. We could talk for an hour. We can glue some dudes together. I could try not to glue my thingies together. We'll see if it happens. And then I got nothing until the Sunday. And that Sunday is the 17th, and we'll be back on our prep school bullshit. And this week, if we get a full house and we're not just two of us, yes, Mitch will. And it's not just me and Matt. And if maybe we get more people, we'll work on Mountain Monsters. Last weekend, Colin had to cancel last minute. And I felt really bad doing any Mountain Monster stuff without him. So we just talked about Star Wars. I bet Sarah's over there talking about Mountain Monsters. Hell yeah, Sarah. Hell yeah. Put a little ass into it, Buck. You know, Beard. You know.
No, I don't. I keep telling you I don't.
And then next Monday, Chaos Scar. And then the 21st is a Spoopy Boys. Anyone who wants to get on that action, we are going to be doing 3 versions of the same movie. We're watching Black Christmas 1974, Black Christmas 2008, and Black Christmas 2018. Who would have thunk it? So, yeah, if you want to watch those 3 movies and kind of hang out and talk about it, I will say OG Black Christmas, superb. Those other 2, we'll see. And then them feats is big. And then next week, the 22nd, I'm sorry. Beta Games. I guess we're gonna go work.
Yeah, we love the company.
We love the company.
It's some Lethal Company, baby. You're like, oh man, you are really bad at Bigfoot and Friday the 13th. Just wait, it's gonna get way worse. I think I suck shit at that game. Oof. Anyway, thanks everybody who hung out and watched. Thank you guys for playing. You were amazing. Ryan, feel better. Colin, feel better. We'll see you next month for another episode of Scum and Villainy. Until then, have a good rest of your week. Bye. Oh, I may have forced you with you and stuff, I guess.